All right, let's get the chat set up here. And I mean, that wasn't hard. All right, we're gonna set up the White Knight and see if we can't get a run in here. It's gonna be take a little while. It's gonna be a long. Well, we have a long haul, but I've yawned. Only yawning a minute in. Not even. Holy crap. So let's get this going. So I tried to grab at least a few of the components out here to make it a tiny bit quicker. See what the map making comes up with. So again, as if you watched before, you sort of know I'm looking for valleys to dump into useful spots and easy to move around spots. Now this one looks great and it's okay, certainly. Except for this guy dumps straight into the caves. You know, this is a nice, but this guy dumps right into the caves. Like this could maybe go better, but you'd have to rotate this, and I don't think there's any way that you can. Um, Excuse me, goodness. So we're gonna yawn all the time now because we're streaming. And we're not just video. We are streaming the heck out of this. So excuse me. Uh I like it everything but this right here. I do like whatever's in here is gonna be super cut off from the rest of the map. And that is too bad. I almost want to replace. You would almost love to replace a woods somewhere with this valley. Like you'd almost want to replace. Could you put a woods in here? I don't think you can. No, and I'm not 1,000% sure that's actually any better. So I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna retry. I did like the look of that valley initially, and then thought about it. So here you're dumping to the mountains, and the cliff, and I mean this is great if you can, it's a little bit of time to get here. This one goes the other way, also the same. Like if I can avoid having to find a secret path or passage, that also help. And this one dumps straight into the cave. Again, if you're here, then this is going to suck. If you're, what about I'm not above manipulating the map to get a better map, right? Yeah, those weren't bad. I almost feel bad taking them out. So, this one dumps all the way into the high pass and then the cavern. So I'm going to say no. Again, these two dump straight into the high pass. I almost feel that you could get more mileage. You sort of cheap out a little bit. But that's strangely not that much better. Although you could have this really weird map, right? Where everything Everything is. It's terrible too. Okay, forget that. That's actually not that good. Hey, what's up, sir? Just trying to get a map. They all feel wrong to me. Um, yeah, again, I don't love that. I don't love a lot of dumping into caves. That always because that can wreck a game super quick. If you're not the dwarf or if you don't have an extra move, especially like yeah, especially like the Amazon is less daunted, the elf is less daunted by that. The druid um can be less daunted by that. So this one dumps into the ledges, and then Borderland isn't as bad. This one's crappy. This is okay. This is okay. This is pretty much the only one that I take offense to. Like you might be able to get away with moving that just like that. And now all of a sudden you have two of these which dump straight in, and then you have the option to whip around and go to the caves. But if you don't want to, you are here. Now the problem is the one problem this map has is that this map is entirely divided by in two by this cave. So that's going to be a little dicey. So if you start in any of these three valleys, you are cut off from here. And if you start up here, you are cut off pretty much from down here, unless you make a run through the caves. Um, and so that is give me a little pause. Since the White Knight, definitely not his forte to be running through the caves here. So at worst, you have access to three right away. But again, when's the cavern? So I mean, this could be bad. You'll be 3 in 12 chance, or 3 in Jesus. This is gonna be a rough night. 3 in 5 chance of getting on this quote unquote the eastern half of this map, and then a 2 in 5 chance of getting on the western half of this map. Is there any way to change this up to quickly allow? I don't see one without having to totally recalculate. Figure out if you've cut all the map off into pieces. Um, in 50-50 on this map. Let's. Oh man, it's gonna take forever. Okay, let's. So here we dump into this cliff. This one also dumps into the same part of the cliff. So you got this little bottleneck, and you have to find that secret path. Okay, that's fine. Um, this goes to the high pass, not my favorite. This one's nice. These two are nice. These two are the good valleys. These valleys are a little dicier. Is there a way to not run straight through high pass? Don't think there is. The only caveat would be so this mountain is cut off by high pass and cavern. You could flop this over here, and it would be better for that valley. All right, we're gonna stick with this one. We've done way too much. We've done this way too often. All right, let's get our visitor chits where we want them. Okay, so there we go. We'll let everything place, and then we will get our knight set up. The knight is one of my favorite characters to run. Well, that house is way off in the middle of nowhere. Where's the order? So the order is vaguely in the middle, so that's cool. I like that. You can quickly get to, you know, the woods, the borderland, the ledges. So that's not terrible. The ruin is accessible to you. So you got a pretty good start. I mean, you can set up a map. Hey, what's up, Michael? Greetings. Um, oh, you're new to Magic Realm I. That's great, man. Congratulations. Welcome. It's a great game. Um it's definitely a game that you can, I don't know what you want to say, take up a little bit of your headspace for a while. There's a ton of replay value. It is a very deep, and I would like this. I always feel that it's a very well-tuned game, if that makes any sense. All right, so I got my dice out already. Here's all the stuff. We'll close setup, open up, and let me do a couple just garbagey things here to make the giant turn sheet there. Lock it down, and then let's pull the white knight. So yeah, the White Knight's one of my favorite characters. Just because it was one of my favorite characters when I first got this game when I was 9 years old. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with it then. It took me about a decade to learn to play. So there's that. Um, I like him because he is a weird mix of powerful and weak. Right? He's got the armor. He's got the fight. He's got the big sword and the tremendous fight chit, so he can take care of almost anything in the game. But man, you got 4 move chits. Good luck. And they all tire you out. And you can meet you can kill a giant, but boy, you meet a bunch of bats and or a set of goblins, and all of a sudden you're getting a little nervous because you're gonna fatigue to death. Um, so all right, so we got all that done. I do, it, it's very interesting because Magic Realm is amazingly luck based, right? It is all over the place. You are rolling, right? It's got that whole it's 1979 old school design, right? You roll for every goddamn thing. Having said that, it is not a very the game's not dependent on your RNG as much as it seems it would be early. Um, by the way, I think we're gonna go with super straightforward knight. Make hull is almost my 100% default choice for the white knight. Keeping in mind, I mean, he can't cast at will, right? He can only cast when he has white magic. He can't generate white magic. That means he's pretty much bound to the clearing here because the chapel generates white. Um, and on day 7 he can cast because white. So what that means is you get a free week. Go do what you want. And day 7, make sure you cast Make Whole if you're injured or have damaged armor. So let me turn the fan on here. I mean, that's it as far as setting up for the night. And we now have to set up just usually you would usually you'd be now sitting here watching me for 20 minutes agonize over spells, even though it's not like there's infinite spell choices for most of these characters, right? There's usually 2 or 3 good combos. Now, having said that, I am trying to experiment more and more with spell choices, and I think I've hit a few which I wouldn't have thought of before. Like the elf game with the awakened monster, I think actually was not a bad choice. Now, he didn't have too much chance to use it, unfortunately, because he didn't draw a ton of X-Killer, X-Slayer cards or a lot of diplomat cards. He drew the one diplomat card, which he used awaken to pop. But I think that could be certainly a winner. But the White Knight, he's pretty, I'm pretty convinced that his the way to go with him is pretty much make whole. I agree there's not quite as much randomness as it seems. That being said, I never fail to roll neutral natives into block battle, even with a single die on the Black Knight. Yeah, no kidding, right? Okay, I agree. Um, well, I mean, there's a 30% chance, right? There's a 30% chance to go neutral to trouble, and then a 30% chance to go block battle. That's about it. That's a 10% chance, or right? It's 30% of 30%. It's a 9% chance, effectively. So, yup. Magic Realm does have a little bit of that. The worst possible thing that can happen is going to happen. So you should plan for that if you can, right? It is very much a game about mitigating risk and understanding what your chance is, and sometimes knowing when to cut bait, which is actually my big problem with it most of the time. Is sometimes I don't do it early enough. I don't go, I can't roll this. I know I have a 25% chance to do this, but I've been doing it for 6 days, so maybe I should cut bait and move on. So let's draw some quest cards for the knight here and see what he gets. I've been shuffling while I've been talking. But yeah, it's nice to see you guys. It's nice to have chat. That's the reason I'm streaming these, not because I expect 1,000 people to watch. So I get take cover, so it's immediate hide. I get lost. That's a very good start, by the way, and not it's not a great start. It's not like, and Ghost Hunter. Well, that's not bad either. Um, so take cover. Take cover gives me a free hide at any time, whenever I'd like. It is literally a get out of jail free card in some cases. So I'm going to use it as such and abuse it by not hiding early on until, and then just popping the card. Lost Pouch gives me some cash, or I can take the pouch and get effectively a victory point and friendliness with a native faction. Now, frankly, I am friendly with the best native faction in the game. So if it is the chapel's pouch, I might turn it in for role playing sake. Otherwise, 3d6 gold is a huge, huge boon, and could lead you to being able to hire one of these guys right off the bat, right? The order costs $8 each to hire. They're the most powerful natives in the game to travel with, because they're big and beefy with a big and beefy horse. So keep in mind, we also would like to get the Morning Star on the Pally here as first thing. So we do have probably $6 that we have to spend right off the bat. So let's see what the events look like this week. It is an Elven Pathfinder. That is a little bit of a bummer when those don't come up as points. Missing person. I don't like that one for the solo game. And Porter. So it's a little bit of a bummer draw here for. So the Porter, the Elven Pathfinder. And look, the Elven Pathfinder is not terrible in any stretch of the imagination. It just. I'm looking for cards. I'm looking for cards that are going to give me points, not 1, 2, 3. So let me draw 4 of these. Missing person is you go to 4 locations, you investigate the locations, and if you can get the correct location. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to vaguely shuffle these, and then I'm going to turn away and do other shit, so that when I come back and shuffle them, I will have totally forgotten what the hell I'm doing. So what I have is I have on a GitHub. I have an MR stuff with the files. I have these, right? Here's you can make your own card deck if you right. I do not have these garbagey chits loaded up anywhere. Um, I'm not sure how I would do that. um, I don't have like these Porter Pathfinder. I just made these on my own and put custom ones. And then before, actually, what I do, if you've ever watched like the first games I played, I used all these. I used all just the components that came with the game, and then I would, mark what was what and what was where on the board using a note card here. So, but I do have the rules, quote unquote, out there for you, and all the spells. So it's only missing person. Let's roll where the Pathfinder is. He's at one dwelling here. House. You have to excuse my voice. I am in a weird voice thing today where I sound like a teenager. That's pretty much the only thing about me which seems like a teenager. So you should enjoy that while you can. Or I should enjoy it while I can. How's that? And the small campfire is where the porter is going to be. The White Knight absolutely doesn't need the porter. In fact, we're just going to drop him, and he's done because there's really no point to the porter. White Knight can carry everything the porter can carry. So I am going to shrink these a little bit, and then I'm going to place these chits down, and from there, we're ready to start. So that's not a bad. What are we at here? 5-3. So Crag 3. So this chit is Crag 3. Okay. 2-4 is Cavern 4. So what's the chance I ever get to any of these missing person investigate spots? Mountain 5. I mean, maybe a couple of them you just run by, but oh no, it's fine. Like I said, the Mountain 3. That's actually so that's good. If you find yourself up in the mountain, that's not too bad. So the GitHub is real quick. Here, I'll post the link in chat real quick. There you go. So that's it. That's the setup. That so I can't say that I'm super jazzed about the cards. I do think the Take Cover is a very powerful card as a boon. I do think Lost Pouch could be. Oh, let's roll the pouch. Let's roll the pouch. So what native group? Oops, wait, hold on. Sorry. What native group does the pouch belong to? 4, it's the rogues. So my Lost Pouch belongs to the rogue. So my options for the pouch are to just open it. And the White Knight, he's such a good guy. Would he ever open it? Yes, of course he will. Open it, gain 3d6 by exchanging quest phase. Alternately, you can return it to the natives, and they will give you a 1 VP, and they'll become friendly with you. And that could be super powerful, except like I said, I'm already friendly with the guys I mostly need to be. What I need is more money. So I think I'm going to put this here for 2 seconds. Lost Pouch at the Rogues, but I'm probably eating on day 1, and that's that. You know, I should role play it and take it to them like the honorable guy, but you know how far that is? That's a little bit of a walk here. You pretty much have to where the hell do you get to? Yeah, ugh. So you're going through the borderland, through the high pass, down here. So that is super clunky, actually. So that's something I did not actually check with the map, is that we are a little bit divided. Like these two, guard and the rogues, are a little bit isolated from the rest of the universe, simply because this is sort of a long haul. The other way you can go is this way, so you can go to Borderland 2. It's not the worst, it's just a little bit of a haul. Oh well, such is life. Okay. Now we're set up, we're ready to go. We're ready for um look, I know it says honor. I get it. I know what the card says, darn it. Um and he's not even he's not even enemies with these guys. So just doesn't feel right, but I'm taking the damn money. So, okay. So let's write our day one here, and we're whatever. We're 20 minutes in. We're ready to roll. Now these full games are fairly long. Up, I have no camera. Let me set up a camera. This is always camera 5, and this right here will be camera 1. There's camera 1. And finally, I always make this camera 6. All right, there we go. The 1, 5, there we go. All right, let's write our first day. So our first day is going to be, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a quest phase. We're going to open that pouch. So that's fairly easy. The second thing we're going to do, I'm not playing this clever. He's going to trade the sword in for the Morning Star 100%. So I think that we're just going to do a trade, and a trade phase. And that's what we're going to do. Now, do we need 3 trade phases? Do we need 3 trade phases? Well, probably not. We're trying to get a 3, 2, or 1 typically to get this done. And we need a 4 because the White Knight gets to subtract 1 from each die on the meeting table. Done. So there you go. So probably going to get 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's just go with that. And I do have to remember that the White Knight gets an extra rest every turn. It's easy enough to forget after a while because I'm not writing it, but there you go. I will try to write it every phase or every day. So let's pull our dice here. Let's get our hide dice out. Those are the dice I forgot. Let's get our monster dice. I agree. I think this is a strangely, I don't know what you want to say, right? It's playing it solo is not super long. What takes a long time is, you have 4 characters, 4 players going or whatever. That will take a longer time. But playing solo, you can buzz through days and weeks. You can move, right? And yeah, just the amount of crap that can go on in a game is pretty incredible. I'm actually I'm not sad. That's sort of goofy. I'm almost sad because sometimes a month seems too short, and sometimes these characters, you know, feel like they're taking a little too long to, it's a race, right? You feel you're taking too long to get started, and then once you get started, you're like, oh, God dang it, I'm done. It's the last week already. So all right, there you go. There's our day 1. We are ready to go. Let's get a monster roll. Let's get a monster roll, and it's 4. So we're gonna see the Lancers pop at the inn, or not the inn, the chapel. But since we're not leaving our little hovel here, we're not gonna see any trolls out. So let's do the quest phase. So Lost Pouch. We're gonna roll 3 dice. That is $10 plus 3, so $13. So that's gonna give us $23 to start, and we pop the Lost Pouch. Yeah, I mean, it does take longer. It will get better as you get more experience. My son and I can pop out a a 2-player game of this in, again, fairly short order, right? It's longer than a 1-player game for sure, but it's not super long. In any case, yeah, I mean, it does obviously go up as time goes up, but even you can play, 4 players. If everybody's experienced, those turns will still go pretty quick because it doesn't really take that long to adjudicate a turn. So speaking of adjudicated turn, let me actually do mine for a second. Let me actually do what I need to do. So I'm going to trade with the order, and I love to talk, by the way. So never feel like, oh my God, I'm distracting him. I love talking. So, and I love talking mostly to people, thankfully. So amulet removes a curse. That's not terrible. Reflecting grease is actually very good for the night. So I will roll on the reflecting. No, I'm going to roll on the damn Morningstar first. But it's nice to know the reflecting grease is there, right? So Morningstar cost 8. Let's roll and see what price we end up getting. 4. There you go. So we can go straight to 3. So we can reduce this to a 3. That's going to get us to price times 2. That is $16. Subtract the $10 there, and so that's going to cost me a total of $6. So that means I start 17 at the end of the day, and I'm going to trade this in for the Morningstar. And of course, if you've seen me talk about this game, or seen any of the moderately okay but cut short tutorials I wrote a long time ago, the Morningstar is great because of this side where you're an 8-3, and that's great for the White Knight, who now a lot of stuff which he had to struggle to fight now becomes an auto kill. So the second thing I'm going to do, that's my first roll. My second roll for trade, I'm going to trade for the reflecting grease. And see, maybe I get a cheap, super cheap price. Yeah, definitely PvP is we don't do PvP a lot, but the elf is sort of the absolute worst because he can cast so many of these debilitating spells on people. So that's price times 3. That's $9 for that. I'm gonna try one more roll. So my last roll. And that is price times 2. So for $6, I could get the reflecting grease. Yeah, I'm going to take it. So I'm going to go down to $11, and I'm going to buy the reflecting grease. And the reason why the reflecting grease is super nice is because if you think about it, any armor deflects wounds. So what that means is a fight which is deadly to the White Knight. So let's say the bats. So 3 bats descend on the White Knight. The White Knight's like, crap, I can't dodge these bats no matter what. I'm going to get hit every flipping round by them. They can't punch the armor. They can't destroy the armor. What they're going to do is, because their wounds are medium, because they hit for medium harm, I'm going to take a wound every round. And because it's 3 bats, I'm going to take 3 wounds every round. And so the bats will just cut the White Knight down, even with his armor. Now, you pop this, and for the rest of that combat, the rest of the day, you're taking no wounds at all. Any armor deflects wounds. The armor itself may be damaged. So as long as it hits any armor. So that can turn this for the White Knight especially, or the Black Knight, or the Amazon, any of the armored up characters who can cover every space with armor. This can turn an instant and immediate death into a win, potentially. So that's why we buy reflecting grease when we saw it. So that's day 1. The Lancers appear. And yeah. Let me, like I said, I got this weird, and of course it only started as soon as I started this stream. So let's get day 2 going. And we get guide. Play during a search to find. Geez, oh man. So this is a free path or passage. So that's great. I love these boons, but boy, I'd love to find scoring. I'd love to score some points too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head into the deep woods. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to kill these ghosts. The ghosts aren't pushovers, but they should be killable by the night. Fairly straightforward manner. So I'm going to go to the deep woods, going to go to the Curse Valley, and then to the ruins. And that's my early strategy, I think. And I would love to use guides. I can talk about that. I won't do it today, but I will talk about it. And there's some stuff I want to talk to with that East Paladin mentioned. This is a while ago about the narrative quests or whatever. I'd love to talk about all that, but I will. I'll think about it. Now that you mentioned it, it's a good video to make maybe on one random Saturday afternoon. Because I do have, strangely enough, I do have weird theories about how much you diverge from the original game, and and what the goal of, say, this is versus questing the realm versus the original VP thing, and sort of what the implications are for how you play. So it's a good question. I could talk about it for an hour, so I'm not going to do it here, but I will do it. I'll make a video this weekend if I get a chance. So why don't we go to the deep woods first? And I want to pop this. So I'm going to stop here. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go straight to Deep Woods 2. Remember, I have, so move, and move to Deep Woods 2. Remember, I have take cover. So I can hide even before I get blocked. It's so it's very good stuff. So let's get a monster roll for day 2. And there it is. It is a 2. So we got serpents and demons. And we go here. And then we're going to flip this. Oh, and the Lost Castle pops instantly. So another one of the strategies with the knight is that you love to end up hiring one of your big boys, right? One of the order. Even though you don't necessarily need him, super useful to have that guy. So we got Roar 4, Patter 5, Howl 4, so we got bats, Slither 3, and the Vault in 3. So actually not, one treasure location. Now we can open this, which is good. And we do have Slither, so that's a little crappy, because I don't actually love those serpents as a rule. These serpents are actually bad. This is a bad fight for the knight. And the reason is because you cannot auto hit them here. You can auto hit them here. So you want them to flip ultimately. And they can hit you, wounding you each time with their M4 attacks. And you either have to fatigue your way through this to not get hit, or you take the hits and take the wounds. So not ideal in any case. Having said that, the vaults here, we could use money. If we're ever going to have these guys, we're going to need some cash. So we should consider that. But I think that's our day. So on day 3, we have to make a decision. And I think the decision, we're going to score the points first thing. So let's see what Ghost Hunter says, because I think Ghost Hunter is weirdly good for our knight here, for just killing ghosts. Those are the events. Sorry about that. Ghost Hunter. No? Yes, there we go. Kill both ghosts. Earn a BP. End of phase in the chapel for an additional reward. Ghost Hunter, gain 10 prowess. Ghost will no longer prowl, block, or battle to you. Or Fractured Grail. This treasure, no weight, produces white magic on demand, but at the end of the day it's used, you must roll. On a result of 6, the Grail is destroyed. That is a great toy for the night. So guess where we're going first thing? We are going to go kill the ghosts. So hide, move, move, it looks like, right? Hide, move, move, ghosts. And yeah, rest. Just because I'm always trying to write that rest to remember. Because I usually forget extra rests I forget. So, all right. Today, day 3, monster roll seems to be bats. And so I'm actually sort of glad I'm moving out of here because I do not want this guy to draw bats. So I'm going to hide, move, move. So, oh, and I forgot. I did forget. Let me make sure that people can see where I'm at. So I'm going to move to the ghost. Am I hidden before I get there? I am. So flip me over. Here's our buddies right here. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I don't hate the victory conditions. I'll say this. I don't hate the victory conditions as much as I feel they make the game vaguely samey for each character. Like each playthrough with each character feels vaguely samey because there is probably an easy meta in terms of if you're the Black Knight, you should take more notoriety. If you're the White Knight or the Berserker, you should take fame. And there's no reason to vary from that, right? So we are hidden. So we are going to ready our weapon with this. So that's going to flip that out. Yeah, and I sort of agree with you there. I think that's part of the issue, right? If I'm taking the sorcerer, then fame and notoriety, just nuking the rogues day 1 is my game. Frankly. And maybe I take some extra gold, gold on the end of that. But your game ought to be nuking the rogues. And, I think there's where a lot of that came from, where you have, oh, well, we need extra rules. We need watchful neighborhoods because everybody just nuked the damn rogues first day and then they split the treasures and stuff like that. And I think that all comes from the victory points lend themselves to perverse incentives. How's that? They don't actually make they make the game same. I think playing with the same character. So here we go. We are hidden. We're at time 3 on that weapon. He will go here. Does he flip? That's actually the bad thing. If they flip, this can drag out, right? And he does. So we actually missed him. So that's round 1, and we miss. So now both these guys are on our sheet. Oops, I picked that up. And we're going to attack him. And we're still going to go with this. My concern, of course, is now we have to play a move. That sucks a little bit. And see, this is where this fight sort of stinks, right? Because now I'm fatiguing a move, and I only have 4 asterisks to fatigue. So let's get to this now. So this all of a sudden became dicey. So okay, let's see where these guys end up. They end up 3. So he ends up here, and he ends up here. And so let's see if the first box flips, and I wish he wouldn't, and he doesn't. Let's see if the second box flips, and he doesn't. So, all right, this is good. First attack, he smashes into my armor, but he's doing light damage now. So it is, he scares me a little bit, but nothing's going. This attack goes, it pops this guy because it undercuts him. So he is dead. My weapon is unreadied. Here we go, and that's round 2. This is round 3 now. So he'll be my target, of course. And we have to fatigue. So we're going to fatigue a tremendous 6. And now you do end up in this weird position, right? Because my weapon is not readied. So this one round, I should probably play the move again. And either I'm going to kill this guy and fatigue again, or he flips, and then I could stop. I can, or I miss, and this flips over, and then I can sort of stop worrying about this so much. So let's see how this round plays out. So where does he end up? 2. So he ends up all the way down here. Does he flip? I'm sort of hoping he does. He does not. So I played that move in vain. But my weapon flips, so that's nice. And now I can stop playing. Because now that my weapon is flipped, if he flips, no matter what happens, I'm going to undercut him faster than he attacks. So now I can stop fatiguing. So that one more round I had to fatigue, but now I do not. So let's go here, see what happens. 5, so he does not go onto my space. Oops, he's on that side, by the way. Anyway, does he flip? I hope he does. He does not. So that's the first round. Nothing happens now. And this could be the second round. Nothing happens. 4. No, he's going to stay right there. So perfect. And then if he flips or not doesn't matter because I'm going to hit him first. And I do. And he is finally dead. So that is worth 6 prowess. So 6 prowess is, I think that's very astute of Jay Richardson, the solving the, fixing the symptom, not the disease. I do think victory conditions are pretty much, I'd argue one of the only flaws. Even if you don't like the combat system because you have this thing where the monsters only attack one way, I still think there are things about that, even though I understand that the original design was going to be this other thing, but then they scrapped it. And I get that, but I actually think even the way it is designed, there's this nice, it's a decision-making process then. It allows combat to be very puzzly. So we do have Ghost here. So we're going to score the VP no matter what. I'm going to write this VP down. And let me actually, I will pay attention to my actions here because I will start making mistakes. So, but no, I think it's a great talk to have. It's sort of fun. I do like talking about, and then I have a reward at the chapel. Reward at chapel. And I am going to go get that here, I think, at some point soon. So, okay, let me figure out then. So I like getting that first card point early on. But I do want to go see what's in the ruin. So I am going to move to the ruin. And I'm going to search, and search because popping this ruin 1/5 is never bad. This one is one of those that I always get if I can. This one in the Borderland is another one because it saved. There are certain of these that save so many days. So I'm going to go here and search. That pops this this guy, and then I'm going to head back. So let's get day 4 going here. Three. So ogres, wolves, goblins, octopi. Not the best because that smells like we're gonna run into that. That smells like goblins are gonna pop right here, right? Bones. So trolls, altar 1. Okay, so not so bad, and nothing appears. And I've popped another site, so I know where a site is. And now I draw a card. Soldier remains. Unhidden in Slither, I get stuff. I mean, the White Knight doesn't need what the soldier's going to have, but it is money. So I think it is time for a reckoning with those serpents. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we could pop ledges also, and I think we might do that just to get as many of these things popped at once so we can understand what the map looks like, and I feel that's sort of important early. But then I think I might want to take care of these guys. I might want to get that vault open. I want to take care of these guys. I might want to get some money and treasure. Let's go to ledges 4 first. 1, 2, 3, 4. And ledges 4. So that's our move. Oh, we get extra rest. See, and I forgot it too. But why? Because I am a bad player. So there's gonna be an extra rest. That was yesterday. Extra rest. Done. So in 2 days we'll be back. So let's get for day 5 the monster roll again. 5. So spiders and imp. We're gonna end up here, unhidden. And we're gonna get ruins and the pool in 6. So it's all bats and octopus. We want no part of this tile. Calamari and bats stew. Not where we want to be. And again, I don't like these serpents. These serpents are crappy. But I think I need to take them out. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hide twice. Hide. And then we're going to move to the serpents, the vault, right? We're going to move to the vault. And we're going to fire an extra rest phase. And my extra rest phase today on day 5 gets me that back. So I have rested up. And then hopefully we're going to be hidden with the serpents. We'll see what the monster roll is on day 6. Because hopefully that won't dissuade me. 1, so dragons. It might have dissuaded me. Hold on. So we're going to hide 2 times. And we do. And so we end up here. And unfortunately, so that is the kicker. And of course, again, Magic Realm will sort of dink with you when it can, right? So Smoke M brings 2 of these guys. So that's sort of not cool, actually, because I don't want to fight 2 of these guys. Also, the serpents make that very dangerous. These guys are actually easy for the White Knight with the Morning Star. But when he has then 2x3 guys, also, that makes that crappy. And Roar might bring someone, only in the caves, though. But Slither, hold the hell on. No. Wait, what did I just do? Slither brings that guy. So Smoke brings the flyers. Slither brings this dude. Holy crap. Oh, man. And all of a sudden, the pool's looking fine. That pool looks great now. I could spend all day in the pool. Wow, this turned into a shit show really fast. So we have 3 dragons and 2 serpents. Wow, that is not great at all. So that is a totally different fight now all of a sudden. So let's look at this fight real quick and then make some decisions, right? So so here's where that reflecting grease might come in handy. You could pop this fight and pop the reflecting grease, and you might be okay. So here's my thinking. Hear me out here. So so the white knight goes and he gets blasted the night before. He's drinking, and then he comes in, stumbles into these dragons, and then he's thinking, you know what, I got this. So first thing, and this all goes wrong with a roll of a 6, by the way. We're hidden. We we pump the we pop the reflecting grease. We target this guy. And I mean, it doesn't matter which guy we target actually at this point. We target this guy, we kill this guy, and he, hopefully, right? Hopefully he doesn't flip. So we've readied our weapon, we pop this guy, he goes down. Done. With the reflecting grease, these guys no longer hurt me. When these guys flip, they no longer hurt me. Right? Then everyone has a side where they don't do anything to the knight. And so you just have to play that, right? You have to play. So it's the game is actually very much the same as the Amazon fighting 6 goblins. You are killing the guys that you can auto hit, because you can now auto hit guys on the side that they can hurt you on, and that's always a good battle, right? Um. Oh. Now the only problem is you cannot pop the reflecting grease. You have to pop it during the encounter phase. So I might. Oh, okay. I might. Again, we're back to might. So you can't pop the grease. You have to pop it either in the encounter phase. So I can only do it or ready the weapon. I can't do both in the same round. And so is it more important to get, the grease done, or is it more important to and I would argue that it is probably more important, because you are still fatiguing every round on these guys. If these guys are living, you have to fatigue a move every round, and you only have 4 fatigue asterisks. So you have 4 rounds to kill all these dragons before you start, taking hits. These guys show up, you have a little bit easier time because they're slower attacks. So popping that grease ahead of time would be awesome. You could burn around, pop the grease, burn around, or not burn around, but burn one round to pop the grease, then ready your weapon on the second round, and then jump out. And you are the fastest attack in the game still. I'm going to regret this, but we're doing it because we have day 7's coming up anyway. So tomorrow we're going to get to cast. So, all right, grease is pop. So the grease is active. Armor deflects all wounds. We will not wound this combat until this armor gets shredded. And on round 2, so that's round 1. On round 2, we're going to flip this guy with this, and then we're going to fight with that. And I don't have to play a move still. So this is simply round 2, and I do not have to play a move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that guy, and we're going to target him. So this is round 2. Oh, this is a bad idea, but I'm fired up. Let's do it. So where does he go? He's going to go all the way down here. So now we're hoping that he stays on my good side, and he does. So on round 2, we undercut this guy and we kill him, and he goes to the dead pile, and everyone then piles onto my sheet. So now everybody's on my sheet here. So now we got to start playing moves. So now we're going to play a move here. And we're going to play here, and we're going to target this guy. And so, ideally, we would rather him not hit me. And we'd rather these guys didn't flip. So there's a lot of things we'd rather didn't happen. We don't want anyone to be heavy damage and up here and not get, not be attacked effectively. And in fact, if I miss this round, I'm not even super pissed, because already my weapon. Well, someone's hitting me this round, right? That is the key here. So we hope it's this guy and not, say, these two guys, or we hope these guys flip and so on. So I'll quit talking about it. Let's play it out. You know how this is going to go. Either they're going to be on sides that can't harm me, or they're going to be on sides that can damage the armor. If I take 2 of those shots, that armor's going to be I'm going to be upset, because then I'm killable. And this might be a short run, actually, which would suck. So let's see where we end up. 1. So that is ideal. He's going to stay here, and these 2 flip. Like that. So let's see if this guy flips. Now, if he doesn't flip, we're going to take the first hit on our armor. If he flips, we're going to be super happy. He does not flip. So he hits our armor for heavy damage. Well, let's adjudicate everybody else, too. Does the second box flip? No. Does the third box flip? Please say yes. No. So he hits us first. Then he dies. So now we've killed 2. So now they look like this. And I am going to go with, and I have to fatigue. So that's round 1 of fatiguing. And I've got to fatigue as long as this guy exists, I suppose, is the problem. Got to fatigue. Oh, and I need to switch this, by the way. I'm sorry. I would fatigue that guy. You always fatigue the T6 first, because it is your most useless chit in most fights. Because you have an H6 with no asterisks. Why would you ever use this unless you're wearing the tremendous armor? So always fatigue T6 first. So having hit that guy, I suppose I still have to play like this. These guys still can't harm me, so if they hit me, I'm not so worried. This guy currently can harm me. Until these guys flip, they can't hurt me. I've got to play against this dude. The grease is great. I don't like the fact that my armor has taken this hit, because I want to keep this armor intact so bad. So I might swap out, right? I might not cover my move. Super rare that you're not covering your move. Maybe that was what I should have done last time, strangely enough. So I'm not going to cover my move. Banking on hitting this guy. Like this. So I'm not going to cover. I'm going to bank on this guy staying up here again. And these guys not flipping effectively. And let's roll with that. And I should have not covered the last round, but that's okay. Sometimes you think of these things too. So not ideal. Oh, of course. Not ideal, because now he's going to go down there, and I've screwed myself a little bit, right? That was the... So now this gets dicey for us. He doesn't flip, so that's good. We don't want the second guy to flip either. He does. That's a little bad. And we would really love for this guy to flip over and luck out, and he's not going to, is he? And he doesn't. And so he destroys the armor. So there you go. So actually this plan totally failed. But we missed. So now we're like this. All right, that's definitely not as good. So we're in a little bit of trouble now. Because now everything wounds us. And so now we're in a position where we're going to start taking wounds every round. So, oh well, that was a bad call. Okay, so what is the best move? The best move is to do exactly what we're doing here in terms of killing. We're going to kill this guy first. So that is absolutely the case. We're going to kill him first. So we have to fatigue again, by the way. And I suppose we're fatiguing this shit, and then we're going to go that route now. And now they can hurt us even if they're on their bad side. So that's sort of where this goes awry, right? So, okay, so let's go next round. 2. So he's going to go all the way down there. He's going to come up here. We're going to roll the flippage. Does he flip? He doesn't. That's good because he'd have killed us. Or at least serious wounded us. No flip there. Does the bottom guy flip? Of course he does. There you go. So he flips, and thus I miss him. So this is going exactly the wrong way. So now we fatigue and wound. So now we're going to wound. We have to fatigue a move. We're going to wound a fight. And the fights barely matter, but I think this is a loss for our knight here. I think he actually might not make it. So, okay, so we missed. We switched to this guy, like that. We can no longer play an h4. We have to play an h5. So we're going to take 2 hits here no matter what. So we're taking 2 more wounds no matter what happens. So first things first. Oh, he goes all the way down here. This guy slides all the way up here. Does the first guy flip? No. Does the second guy flip? This is the bad one. No. Does the third guy flip? No. Okay. Good news is we hit him first thing and we take him out. That's quitter talk. Indeed. Now we don't fatigue. Good news, guys. No fatigue. However, we do take 2 wounds. So we are going to wound this guy. And we're going to wound that guy. Oof, I don't like that. But okay, so we took 2 wounds. Done. And now our weapon flips over to the bad side. That's the problem we have, right? Now we cannot guarantee to hit anything. We are going to attack. Since we have, whatever chance to hit whomever, they can both kill us if they flip. So we're going to just go for that guy. And I would love to... Let's see, if he flips... Well, it doesn't matter. The Morning Star's an H6 on that side. So it is as slow as balls on that side no matter what. So, okay. So let's just do what we got here. Let's roll up 5. So he is going to go. Everybody shifts down. That's not great, but whatever. So that's a miss, or a not flip, and a flip. So that's good. We avoided the worst because he actually misses us. So that's nice. We do take 1 wound. I can take 1 wound. I'm going to wound the H5s because it barely matters, right? So now this guy. The other thing great about the Morningstar is I can always play this chit. The only time I need to play any other chit is when I need to do tremendous damage because this thing has speeds on both sides. So I'm going to go here and attack him now. Let's get this done. Oh my god. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun fight. I am getting my ass kicked. That could have gone so well, by the way. Like I would have seemed like a genius if that had just gone a little better. 5. These guys are they are not letting me line up at all, are they? Holy crap. Okay. So they drop. The first guy flip? No, that's good. Does the second guy flip? We'd rather him not. He does not flip. So this guy is now undercut and dead. So that's good. That's good stuff. Okay. I take a wound. So I'm going to wound. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. He hits me all the time anyway. So I'm actually going to wound this chit. Because I can play this from now on, because that's how this combat's riding out. I can either hit him, or he does, hits me and kills me, or hits me and wounds me, and I hit him on a third chance, and I have 3 more chits to wound. Well, I have a few more chits. I have 5 more chits to wound before this is all over. All right, let's see. We need a 1 or a 4. This really is the kicker. We need a 1 or a 4. Oh, no, that's not a 1 or a 4. That's not cool. Does he flip and gut me? 6, he does. He flips, does heavy damage. I think I was on that side, right? That's my fault. Let me rewind time 20 seconds just so I see what's going on. I've never tried this. Let me see. Oh my god, what the hell just happened? So yeah, playing the 6, right? I think I'm on, and you guys can correct me. So I just killed this guy, right? So my weapon is unalerted. This guy's here. He swaps down. I miss him. He flips. He's going to do heavy damage. And that's probably the game. But I do a very wimpy version of heavy wounds. So I roll the dice. And and I roll the dice. And whatever we get, that's how many chits we wound. Let's get a double ones. No, we're going to get 5 flipping chits. So we wound 5 chits. So I'm going to wound 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm unalerted. Thank you. 4. And that's it, right? I wound 5. I'm actually done now. There is nothing else I can play. So that is the White Knights. Journey. I screwed that up so bad. Oh well. That is the worst. That's the worst. Killed by a dragon. White Knight is not getting any points. He is getting a big fat goose egg, I think, for his run. All because I took a chance. I should not have taken that chance. I should have moved on. It was a good battle, and man, I should have won that battle. I really should have won that battle. This is my first death on these solo runs. I have actually been very, very good at, parlaying that risk. This was probably a risk I should not have taken because it did require just the tiniest bit too much. It required just too many things to go correct. That's a good hangover story. Um, if I roll a 4, so if I just get a 4, so I'm going to replay history here a tiny bit. And I always feel bad because, like, on stream, like in a video, I don't care, but on stream, you're like, oh, that fucking sucks because you're done. It's an hour. So let's say we only get 4 chits wounded. And maybe I retcon that just enough, right? So he flips. This weapon flips. He wounds 4 chits. So let's say he wounds 4 chits just to see how this goes. So now I'm in this position. And the nice thing is, so now you hit him first. As long as he doesn't flip. So he goes down here. And if he does flip, if he doesn't flip, we're good because we'll hit him first. If he does flip, we die again. And he does flip. Why? Because that's how we roll. So now he hits me one last time. I don't undercut him. He does my one last wound, and I am dead anyway. So it actually doesn't matter how this goes. He was dead. I have totally failed the White Knight. Totally failed. I'll be honest. If I made this a video, I'd be like so tempted to just run that again and pretend it never happened. But it did happen, darn it. So, let's take a look now at sort of where we're at. Um, Big scores. So there's our big scores. We scored. And what are the rules? What did I say? I said the rules are. Now I'm not going to give negative points. You get a -2 point penalty for dying. Secret is safe with me. There, your record time under a week. Ah, I suck. Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. That feels awful. So we score a point, and then we score -1 points for dying. That is a total of 0 points. He is officially the worst character in the game. Let me move this up here. There you go. Oh, and I had this set up too. I felt this could have gone well. But that's sort of how the game goes, right? I think there was a couple of those. As soon as those dragons started hitting and banging on that armor, I did not have a good answer to that, and I should have probably thought of that, right? Every round you're going to have that problem. Those guys are going to bang on that armor. Sooner or later, that armor goes away. Any one less dragon is fine, but all of them not so fine. And Morningstar's now the worst weapon. That's hilarious. Yeah, now of course the Morningstar makes even trying that possible, but you're right in the sense that as soon as that thing flips, it's a 6 or a 3. So it has this weird Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing going for it, right? It's either the worst weapon in the game or the best weapon in the game. So, what are we talking about, guys? It's like a long elevator music now. Where I got nothing, and that's too bad. I was hoping for a nice long run there. So let me. Um, so let's. I mean, I should probably. Let me stop the recording. So I have another video recording, even as I do the stream. Um, so let's talk about some of that topic if you have time. If you don't have time, that's fine. But let's talk about the topic you asked about, and I know East Paladin also asked about it, and that's that whole scoring system, and the victory points and narrative and so on and so forth. I mean, now that we're here, so again, we chatted briefly and hinted on it. How many drops you balance with benefit? Absolutely. Yeah, the encounter step. The encounter step is sort of a fascinating. Well, the whole combat system and the whole complication of the combat system. And I tell people this when I teach them to play. I say, look, the combat system is hideously complicated, except for one thing. Well, 99% of the complication comes down to who attacks whom, and most of that complication is trying to cover the worst possible battle condition case that you possibly have, which is there's three of us, three plus players in a clearing, each with hirelings and monsters, all trying to dink with one another and kill all the monsters all at once. Right? It's literally most of the combat system. All the rules come down to who attacks whom and who can do what when and what's the initiative system. It is literally the most complicated initiative system in gaming history, but it actually is not that bad in terms of the basics of the combat. And the encounter step is interesting. The fatigue is interesting. It's one of the things that sort of makes the game for me is that every character has this weird combat and fatigue profile, fighting profile and fatigue profile, just based on these 12 chits. And they all have this like 12 chits. There's weird subtleties. Most games like a Runebound or Talisman's garbage. I love Talisman, but it's a garbage game. But like Runebound, although later editions of Runebound had a little bit of this with the little chits that you would throw in a token system. But there's a lot of adventure games where you go, okay, you have a fighting score of 4. And so the enemy has a 3. So now you guys both roll. And because you have a 4, you do better. And that's great. But nothing matches the level of depth of, man, I have to fatigue now. And I'm the White Knight. And I only have four asterisks to fatigue. And the Black Knight has one more. And so on, right? It's just a fascinating combat system. And the difference between one dragon and 2 dragons, and the dragons and the serpents, and me having the reflecting grease or not having the reflect, like I wouldn't even try that combat at all without the reflecting grease. That would have been a suicide. But with it, it gave me a chance. Now I screwed that chance right to hell, but I had it. And just all of that is near perfect in my mind. Very well done. Yeah, it's beautiful, and certain things are auto kills and not, and and even the dichotomy between missile characters who have the random roll, but have the ability to ambush versus the characters that don't. I feel it's all very well done in that every character has a slightly different threat profile, and they bucket all the monsters differently in the auto kill, dicey, I would never touch that, run like hell. They all bucket all these monsters differently. And I really enjoy that. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about the victory conditions if you don't mind. So the thing I don't like about the original victory conditions are not bad, and they're very, you can sort of smell them, right? You can see where they're at in terms of where this game came from. It came from 1979, right? Victory points were a thing in a lot of games of the time, and so yeah, you can see here. I can go, okay, well, I want to put, you know, one in notoriety and two in fame, and we'll put one in gold and one in great treasure, right? You can do that. There's my 5 points. Can I get that in a month? Um, you know, or not, right? And again, it's fine. It's not a bad system, but I sort of feel, and so this is where I felt, and this is where I started. I always felt that fame and notoriety mostly allowed fighters to double dip a little bit, right? Because a lot of things have fame and notoriety. And I understand there's some of the treasures add and subtract. And so there's a different treasure profile of what things you're going for, what things you're not going for. And so fame and notoriety are not the same thing. I totally understand this. There are subtleties to it. But I always felt that fame and notoriety vaguely allowed fighters to double dip a bit in ways that, say, mages could, right? Um, and the fact that most of your heavy melee fighters can attack most things in the game and have a chance to fight most things in the game, and also um, are more certain in a lot of their I can kill this, I can't kill this. I always felt that that was a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of just, I know what I can hunt for fame and notoriety as the White Knight. I can hunt big dragons. As the Berserker, I can hunt dragons. As the dwarf, I go into the caves and I hunt trolls. And I can probably score those 20 points and get 3 victory points where everybody else, where you're never going to put 3 points there in gold. And so I always just felt that fighters were a little bit dippier than the rest of the characters. So I always thought that was one thing. The second thing, I always feel that to some degree, you literally just have a meta for each character. You go with that meta, and so it made the playthroughs of the same characters samey-ish also, and it also rewarded weird. What do you want to call it? I feel that it rewards non-thematic behavior, like first day we kill the rogues, done. That's it. Sorcerer, I go and I fiery blast and melt in the mist everybody, and now I'm gonna score, right? So I do something like this, and you might go, well, that's a lot, and you go, yep. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna melt in the mist, fiery blast everybody. Boom, 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 boom. I just keep doing that. I'm gonna score those points at some point. You know, or you hunt goblins. I mean, whatever. But it ends up being a very samey game for those characters, and so that's what I didn't like. Now, when I played Realmspeak, there's questing the realm, right? And so I sort of enjoyed, and there's the Book of Quests, and I've never actually played the Book of Quests. I now have 2 games because the Book of Quests suggests you put 2 games together. I actually have 2 games now, but I've never actually put them together because I don't want to tear that down. I don't want to lay them out and then tear all those pieces down. But yeah, so I've never quite played Book of Quests. But I played Questing the Realm and Realmspeak, and the thing I liked the quests. I thought they were decent. What I didn't like was that the all play quests sort of made most of the other quests, in my opinion, not worth chasing. Now, especially if you're playing solo, right? If you're playing solo, then the all plays are dumb because you're going to get them all the time. If you're not playing solo, then it's not like you can race someone to do those things anyway. Because a lot of the all plays are things like locate the vault. Well, okay, if I have to locate the vault, then I'm going to play the game the exact same way I play the game before. And that is, I go to I go to treasure tiles, and I look for treasure sites, and I try to loot them. Done. And that's no different than the rest of the game. And so I felt that what questing the realm in Realmspeak ended up doing wasn't enough, if that makes sense. I wanted to change. I feel that the old victory point system incentivized you to do samey things and non-thematic things potentially, and I felt that questing the realm did not incent you to do anything but the things you were going to otherwise do anyway. So hopefully that makes sense. But I liked the idea of the quests, and I liked some of the quests, and I liked some of the quests in Book of Quests. Now, Book of Quests is totally different because it essentially takes the game and says, "Oh, hold on, Skippy. We actually don't want to do any of that stuff that you normally do. We want you to do this not linear, but very narrative-ish, semi-linear-ish quest that's going to take you through a story, and you run through the story, and there you go." And I almost felt that then that went too far the other way. And so what I wanted to do is strike a medium between what questing the realm does in terms of you get some tasks. It helps you run around the board a little bit, but whereas questing the realm doesn't incentivize you to play the game differently, and then Book of Quests changes the game entirely, I went somewhere in the middle where I go, I want to incentivize chasing these quests, but I want the vast majority of the game to still feel like Magic Realm and not a narrative story game, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's sort of where I ended up with the quest. And well, so okay. So the questing variant, right? So the questing variant plays out. You get a hand of 3 cards. These 3 cards have quests that are just for you. So unlike questing the realm where something like locate the horde is for everyone, and just the first guy that happens to find the horde gets it, it's for you. You get it, and only you have it. So it encourages you to then go out and find the things. And if someone else happens to pop the horde, that's fine. You still have the card. You still need to get there, right? So it doesn't disincentivize that other guy from finding the horde, but it does incentivize you to get there. So I think in that way, it incentivizes you to move to locations and then resolve the locations. And I think that's what it does that I like better than questing the realm. I never felt in questing the realm. In questing the realm, I always felt, well, I got a hand of cards. Most of these I never going to get to in a month game or 2-month game or whatever, a month typically. You know what? I'll just go look for treasure sites and score my VP that way. This game very much said, you don't get any points for finding the horde unless I have the card, right? So, but I still want to find the horde. It might still be money. But if I have that card, then that incents me. So what it does is it incents you, the questing variant, my cards, how about my quest cards? I'll call them quest cards for now. So what the quest cards do is, they tell you, hey, you need to go to these places and then resolve these cards. Dragon Slayer, you need to go kill a dragon, buddy. So when you're playing a multiplayer game and someone else pops a dragon, you should try to get there if you can. Or you should try to hang out here. Why? Because there's going to be a shit ton of dragons here. You should try to hang out in this tile and get these dragons killed. So I think it does that better than Questing the Realm. I think I never played Questing the Realm and actually felt fun because there were different things happening, but I never felt compelled to go do the things. And in this, I feel that you're compelled to do the things. You should be looking to score between, let's say, 4 and 7 cards a game, right? And if you can do that, that's good. Now, what I found was that some of the cards that you were getting didn't make sense to be for you alone. So then I created the event deck, which are essentially the all plays, right? So everyone sees them. You get 3 a week. They're on the board for everybody, and they can either be first person who gets there gets it, or they can be you can all get it, and so on, right? So again, that puts things on the board. And those things can either be hindrances, right? So you might have a goblin horde. And so now you have a goblin horde blocking the map, an extra one. Now, the problem is this requires you to have extra chits or make chits, which I have 2 boards, so I do keep an extra set of monsters sitting around. And so I feel that fills in the gap to allow, now we have this competitive aspect. So we don't play competitively at home. We're not PvPing a lot at home. I mean, now mind you, my kids are grown, but when we started playing Magic Realm, my kids were young. So, so the events which everybody is now competing for to get there now give you a little bit of competition without actually having to say kill your 8-year-old in his first playthrough of the game. And you avoid some of those negative feelings about the game when, if I'm racing you to it, sure, it's a little bit, feels a little bad, but I'm not killing you and sending you back to the beginning, right? Do you think multiplayer games may make Questing the Realm work better in general, though, notwithstanding the point you made about disincentivizing shared goals? Good question. I don't know, to be honest, Michael. I don't play a lot of multiplayer on Realmspeak. We play a lot of multiplayer at home. I mean, look, but we don't play a lot on Realmspeak. I don't. The answer, I think, the short answer to your question is yes, right? I think multiplayer games probably make Questing the Realm work better in general. But I still don't know that allays my concern that Questing the Realm largely just goes, you know what? Go search some stuff, and if you find something, you happen to luck out and get a point. Right? As opposed to, there's never you have to, you got the cards. These are how you get points. So this is set ahead of time, and then you have to go get the points. Now you might luck into a point. You might find the horde. Now that you have the card, find the horde. But finding the horde in and of itself isn't a point, if that makes any sense. It's a little bit of a convoluted point to make, since I've said point 32 times in this single paragraph. But I felt that the all plays, let's say, ruined it for me a little bit, but made it less intriguing because the main way to score points in Questing the Realm is to just do the thing you were going to do before anyway. So a mechanic which doesn't change your behavior isn't a mechanic in my mind. It doesn't change your behavior most of the time, right? So I think that's my main crux with it. That because of the all plays, they weren't changing your behavior much, and thus I felt it became less of a mechanic, right? It was a non-event. It would be like saying, hey, if you roll a 6 on a die every day, you get a point. Well, I'm not going to do anything to right? There's nothing that's telling me, oh, I need to go to the Curse Valley, right? So, having said that, what I think the quest cards then do to fight that is they. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think my quests are genius. I think my quests are sort of, they're all fetch quests, right? They're all go here, do a thing, go here, play a thing, go here, roll some dice. I mean, it's not super clever. Um, and that gets to the narrative point that East Paladin was talking about in one comment, and we'll talk about that maybe in a second. But what they do is you now have to consider every day, okay, how am I going to score my cards? Now that I have these 3 cards in my hand and I see the events on the board, do I waste the days to get there? Or do I, right? So it becomes more of a planning game. It becomes more of a, how do I get to where I need to get to in the days I have allotted and not waste time? Because if I waste a week, that's a week that I'm not scoring points. And it also disincentivized it. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It also disincentivizes to some degree. You don't necessarily need to fight for some of the quests. And so you have to then make those decisions. You have to sort of sit there and make the call and say, am I going to fight this fight? Or am I going to move past this fight and do this other thing? Well, so some of them they are more or less flexible depending, right? I've tried to, over the course of time, hone the quests. So it's a good concern. So he said, Michael said, one concern I have, again, from the perspective of someone new to the game about the quest is you could just luck into things your character does well or vice versa. 100%. So for instance, the druid could draw the curse breaker card, and the curse breaker quest is get cursed and then get uncursed. And I play with the extended character rules. The druid can't get cursed. So there's a couple things going on there. One thing is, if you end at a dwelling or certain locations with certain spells, etc., you can turn in cards and redraw your hand. So again, that is part of the decision, right? Let's say I have one bum card. Let's say I'm the swordsman and I have Dragon Slayer. Well, guess what the swordsman ain't going to do? Mostly slay dragons. He is mostly running from dragons. So now I have this, and so let's say I'm the swordsman and I'm 2 days away from the end. And I just completed a quest and I'm 2 days from the end, and now I draw Dragon Slayer. You're right. That's a bum card for him 9 times out of 10. Now, he might be able to kill a dragon. Maybe he has a buddy. Maybe he's got, right? So there's a little bit of that going on. Now I have a choice. Maybe my other 2 cards are good. Maybe I have 2 cards in my hand which are decent. Or maybe the events on the board are such that if I go one way, I could go pop that other card and get it. But now I have a choice. Do I go back and take the 2-day trip to the inn just so I can turn in this Dragon Slayer card? Or do I keep pushing ahead to complete my other tasks, right? So I agree with you. I totally agree, by the way. Some of the cards are unfair, and they are not balanced from a perspective that they're all exactly the same. Some are easier to complete, some are harder to complete. What I've done over time is some of the ones that are harder to complete get 2 points. So I used to have, I have explore the Borderlands. So you literally touch every clearing in the Borderlands and you get a point. Everyone always discarded that. Why? Because it's a pain in the ass. Or explore the crag. That's even worse because the crag is 1, 2, 3 days, 4. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days at best, right? That's literally a week's worth of questing to explore the crag. So no one would take that. So over time, I realized I would never take this shit. This is a terrible quest. 1 point is not going to do it for me. So either you have to add rewards to those quests to then make them interesting now for someone, or you up the point value, which I up the point value on most of them and gave you a reward on some of them. So now you can take those quests and now it's a decision, right? That's sort of what I'm going for. I want the cards and whether to discard them or whether to hold a bad card in your hand to all be decisions that you're making, so that you are making a decision and going, do I turn away? Do I take this explore card and do it, even though it's going to take me 6 days to get into the crag? And frankly, the answer might be no on one game with that character, and the answer might be yes in another one. Let's say, as the White Knight, I do not blow that combat because I totally did. I feel so bad about that, by the way. Um, let's say I'm the White Knight and I have Explore the Crag, and I go, fudge and A. That is how many days? But let's say I have Take Cover. Well, the nice thing is Take Cover allows me to make that move as fast as possible because I know if something jumps me, I could just instantly hide. So maybe I do it if I have a certain other card in my hand, and maybe I don't do it then, without those cards. So that's sort of the, some thinking on there. So, the answer is, I would probably argue that no, you'll probably find cards in there. You go, well, I think this is poorly designed or whatever, and I would not necessarily argue with you. Or man, I never take this. I have pub crawl. Pub crawl is visit all the garrisons. So if you look at this map and you have that card, you should discard that card. Right? You should be like, well, that's just dumb. On the other hand, on certain maps, you go, oh, I can do this. And on certain maps for characters like the Amazon or the Elf with extra moves or with extra phases, or a character that takes certain spells like, there's a spell Veil Walker in the spells that I use, which allows you to make one Walk the Woods move in the valley, right? So you can essentially ignore this bridge, right? So some layouts you go, oh my god, that's perfect. I'll take Veil Walker, just because the valleys look like this. And then if I get a pub crawl, I can do the 2 points. I can get the 2 points done. I think the reward for Veil Walker sucks, but that's not Veil pub crawl. So, and some of them are designed to be flexible-ish, right? You don't always have to fight. You don't always have to do the thing. So, for instance, there's the challenge, right? So the challenge is you receive a challenge from a random member of a group, and you place him at a random dwelling, and then you go and fight him. But you don't have to necessarily fight him. You could. So you have to fight him in a fair fight. So you literally have to go in unhidden and fight him. Alternately, you may kill the challenger in an unfair fight, but lose levels of friendliness with the natives. Or if you're friendly or allied with the challenger's group, you can just roll on a special meeting table and resolve the fight. By buying the guy a drink, or, right? You guys end up singing in the pub or whatever it is. Oh yeah. No, I mean, sure. Well, I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea either. To have the quests be customized per character. I don't necessarily know that I prefer that to the answer of simply. So my answer to this problem is long, and the answer is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these cards, and over time, if I go, you know what, I really need to increase the number of ways you can solve this, right? You know what I mean? I'd rather do that and thus have a generic deck of cards that everyone has, but there's 4 ways to solve a problem, and then that is interesting too, right? So for instance, the poison pool, right? The poison pool is an event. It sits in one of the tiles. It makes every monster in that tile get an extra sharpness star for as long as it lasts. And if you have type 2 or type 4 magic, you can burn those chits to create a potion to fix the pool. But you can also cast certain spells on the pool. You can also get a visitor, and if you were at least neutral to the visitor, he will follow you to the pool, and he will fix it for you, right? So if you have the crone out on the board. You get to the crone, you walk her out, and you walk her to the pool, and she fixes it, and you get the victory point. So I'd rather do that, right? I'd rather have everyone, and you go, okay, timeout. So for instance, I had a card called Big Game. Big Game was kill a tremendous creature. Well, that's no longer okay, right? If you think about it, because not every character is going to be able to do a tremendous creature. So I amended Big Game to be choose which type of creature you're going to hunt, medium, heavy, or tremendous. At the beginning of when you draw the card, you say, I'm going to fight a medium. Done. That's it. You kill a creature of an appropriate size and end a phase in any dwelling, and you score a VP and then get a piece of armor of whatever weight you choose. There you go, done. So now every character can theoretically take part in that. And frankly, every character has a wheelhouse of monsters. So let's say you draw that card and you're the Amazon. And so you go, well, I got to pick medium. I'm not going to kill tremendous. She has problems with some heavies, most heavies actually. So done. I'm going to kill a medium. The White Knight is like, well, I'm going to kill a tremendous. Now, on the other hand, maybe you're the White Knight and you've realized that all of the tremendous monsters you would normally hunt are on the other side of the board. Or they're dead already because the Berserker's been going on a rampage or whatever. You know, maybe you might then sit down and go, you know what, I'm gonna kill a medium on this. Have you ever tried a cooperative style game with your family? You mean of Magic Realm, right? Because I mean, when we play board games, Forbidden Desert and all those. I mean, we played some of those. But yes, for Magic Realm, we play cooperative. We play, we play it as a race game, right? You're racing to get victory points. We cooperate when it is convenient, right? There are alliances of convenience in our games at home. Oh, we are stuck in this. Oh my God, there's this tile. The Deep Woods has gummed up the board now with dragons. I'll give you $10 if you come and help me kill these dragons. And sometimes they will, and sometimes they'll say, "Nah, I'm good. I'm over here." But we've not tried a game where, say, for instance, you take someone like the Wizard and the Amazon together, and they, utilize their synergies of their two special powers. So now you got an extra move, and we can move through all the secret passages. We haven't done a game like that where we're largely a party of adventurers, right? And in some cases, I almost feel that that's almost too easy. In most cases, it's very easy to think of a combination of combinations which will work. Now don't get me wrong. There's always something, right? There's always that one monster roll that then drags you into this weird dragon serpent death spiral that I ran into here. But I almost find that those games, I don't know. We don't do it a lot. It feels like those games might be either very interesting or very boring, and just based on if the monsters are dribbled out to you, with one or two monster rolls, then it's probably pretty easy with certain combos. And then if you get the right confluence of things, they can be fairly interesting. I don't know if it's too easy necessarily, but I think it could be, right? I think they fall. It's either going to be interesting or boring, and not sort of that in between of, man, that was really great. Like I feel that these games tend to, obviously they can run the gambit also, but I feel they run way more in this nice sweet spot of mostly interesting most of the time, and so on. So the one thing that I had, and I think I think they're. I'm interested in eventually running 2-player games with each player controlling 2 allied characters. I think that's an interesting format for these games. I think 2 characters are like I said, it's fascinating because then you can make these weird dual, solutions. Um, I do think you have to. I would run a few of those and figure out how you feel about them, right? Um, I I don't know how those necessarily go. At some point, maybe that's an interesting sort of um, format to run, right? Two teams, see how those teams do in scoring points, that kind of thing. Um, Now on the so jumping back to the quests and the quest game, so it's interesting because again we had talked about it, and I know East Paladin you had sort of mentioned, well, so so let me start here. Where's the good and bad of the quest this quest variant, right? The quest cards as I see them. I think they do suit me very well. So that's the good, and that's pretty much all I need, right? They suit me. I find them interesting. I think the scores sort of work out in this nice range of, you know, 5 to 10 points typically, and with a lot of with some interest in variation. Um, the the good part of the game is I think it does the correct thing in terms of it changes the game just enough to get you moving around the board and trying to complete these tasks as opposed to just going and searching the sites and just killing some monsters like you would normally. I think the quest card game does hit that sweet spot of I really need to move across this board and get this thing done so I can go get the crone and drag her to the poison pool. And then once I drag her to the poison pool, drag her back to the inn because now she's not lost and I'll have scored 2 points. It does that very well. It it totally gets you moving around and doing those things. Um, and it does give a little bit of a nod to the original victory conditions with the prowess, gold, great treasures, and spells. You could theoretically get up to 8 points here, right? You can still get these points. Now, mind you, it's unlikely you're going to get all those points, right? It's unlikely you're going to get 8 points in the categories. Um, but that was actually a late edition. Originally, it was for not late edition, but that was a later edition. At first, it was just cards, and then I thought, well, that disincentivizes the normal game too much. There is no incentive to fight ever. There's no incentive to, unless you literally have a card that says go fight. There's no incentive to get gold. There's no incentive to loot a treasure site. Looting a treasure site takes 2 days. Why would I ever want to spend 2 days doing this thing which gets me nothing? So then I thought, well, let's make this also more of a race, and we'll put 8 points on the board for characters to do the things they would normally do in Magic Realm: fight, grab gold, get great treasures, and learn spells. And that changed the game very, very in a positive sense because now in our multiplayer games or competitive games, now it's like, man, you're currently getting 2 points of prowess because you killed a couple dragons. All it's going to take me though is, if I make one more kill, I can take those points away from you and I can switch. I'm the top guy. Now I get the 2 points and I reduce you to 1 point or, and so on. Or, my God, the Woods Girl has a great ambush night and she kills 8 goblins, in a night. And now all of a sudden she's the leader and we're both out of luck. That kind of thing. So I think it works out and it's a good mix of move around the board and do the things and try to do the things you would normally do. Get a treasure, get some spells, sell off some treasures and get some gold and so on. So I think it works out. Um, so I think that's a good thing. I think it does, for me, my sort of stated goal of not of making every character's goals different each game and dynamic and fluid, as opposed to I'm the Black Knight. I'm going for notoriety and some fame and some gold. I'm going to kill not the rogues, but or maybe the rogues. Who knows? I'm going to kill a bunch of natives. Um, or I'm the sorcerer and I'm going to kill the rogues. Or hey, me and the Black Knight are together. I tell them I'll split it with them. Let's nuke everybody, and then we'll just loot the treasures, and we'll have met one of our victory conditions done. And I feel that was way too much of the old game, and I do feel the quest cards fix that for me. What they do poorly is, I do wonder if they change the game too much. Now again, it suits me. I'm okay. I'm good with it. But does it make that turn, right? Does it go, well, now really the game's about running around and doing fetch quests, right? So I sort of I should call them fetch quest cards. And they sort of are, and I'm okay with that for various reasons. But um did they go too far? Now I feel the answer is no, I'm good. Like I like the balance of where it is, but I could see that being a diss, right? Like if you're an old school Magic Realm player, I could see going, you know what, the victory conditions were fine. Why did you make it's a different game now a little bit? And the game's all about running the hell around. And I go, yeah, that's sort of what I wanted, and so I'm there. But I do understand that that's sort of a negative. The other thing the quests do not do very well is, and give me 1 second, East Paladin. I'm gonna is they aren't narrative. They're not a narrative thing. It's not the Book of Quests. Book of Quests is very epic story-y kind of thing going on, and these are just side quests, fetch quests. And that is sort of deliberate because I wanted to hit that sweet spot of changing the victory conditions, but not changing the game. So, I think it is, Pally. I mean, I do. How about this? I think maybe I'll be convinced of different later on, but I don't think it's bad. I think you have two curses out there, right? You have Ashes, and Ashes is going to wipe out your entire gold points, and you have Disgust, which is going to wipe out your prowess score. And the answer is, I think that even though you might go, well, but it's only going to wipe out half of your stuff, right? Because you're only going to get, because you still have notoriety, even though your fame is dead in the water. I think having compressed it into one score, that it does what it's supposed to do, which is to essentially say your fighting score is reduced, right? You're taking a single point off of you, I don't think is enough, if that makes any sense. So I think the answer is yes. I think I'm okay with it. I don't know if it's quote unquote fair. I think it is not unfair enough that it matters, and I think it works in the context of having compressed those two scores into one. So yeah, we're not allowing fighters to double dip now, and yeah, now Disgust sort of nukes them. But I don't think there's not a quest, there's not a curse, but there's no curse that does notoriety, right? So you're right in the sense that technically you could have a character who has some outlay of points, and their fame got nuked, so they didn't get these 3 points, but they still got these other 2 points. So I do get that in the original game. Disgust would be not quite as bad. But I'm like, I'm good. I think I'm okay with it. I don't think it really matters much in the scheme of things. Effectively, what I'm saying is those 2 points, you're no longer eligible. And since it's only 2 points, and it mirrors gold, right? It mirrors Ashes, and that Ashes says these 2 points you're no longer eligible for. So I think I'm okay with that. I did read your comment when you said it, and I didn't reply, and I probably should have, but and I thought about it, and I said I think I'm good with how it is. I don't think it's necessarily too punishing or whatever. Um, Curses are generally more apt to happen to wizards anyway, because the wizards are the ones. Now, having said that, man, do I draw a lot of moldy skeletons, right? Um, so, so I said I think I'm okay with that. Now about the narrative thing. So let's move to the next sort of topic on that because so I think this game plays directly into a nice middle ground. I'm not trying to be Book of Quests, so these quests aren't narrative. They're not, they don't. There's no dialogue trees. There's no right. They're very much go to a place, roll some dice, go to a place, turn this in, go to a place, and I'm okay with that. I've thought about what East Paladin you sort of mentioned in one of your comments, and you were talking about, oh yeah, it'd be nice to have sort of branching quests that do you know like they sort of form a story, and these don't, and is that where does that lie? And I think the Book of Quests does that okay. In some cases, it does it really well. So I would be inclined to just go, well, I leave that to that for the time being. However, you did get me thinking. Have either of you guys ever played Barbarian Prince, or have you seen Barbarian Prince? And now I am typing into Google. So here you go. Have you ever seen that game? Um, so here's what I was thinking. So that was one of the very early. It you have a map. You have effectively what's a choose your own adventure book, effectively in there, sort of, and you have a map. And your goal is to get some cash to go and take back your throne. It's one of the earliest types of that game, right? Of the solo choose your own adventure. I think I'm not sure if they came before or after choose your own, but there's event paragraphs. There's a whole shebang. And what your comment sort of vaguely got me thinking is that's too bad. You should at least look it up. It's a classic. Um, it's but if you picture like a choose your own adventure with a map and a movement system, and a food system where you could starve in the mountains or run into goblins and get chased out or find a tower and search the tower, right? That kind of thing, right? It's that whole thing. You have an event book with paragraphs and yeah, right? But you also have a movement system. So what I thought was, could you write a Book of Quest style quests, which effectively did something akin to what Barbarian Prince did? So could you have the idea of, oh, my character comes in from the side of the board, they have to go, they're originally their disposition with all the natives is unknown at the beginning of the game. When they meet the natives, they have to figure all that out. Maybe there's events, maybe there's event paragraphs, and those event paragraphs branch and lead you down whatever narrative path, and then those paragraphs might change the board situation. you know um oh, no, and I agree with you. And this isn't quite that. I think it's a fine line there, Michael. It's not like what do you want to say? It's not quite what you're thinking. It is a little bit closer to this. It does run a line between this and say a choose your own adventure with narrative, but it's not very paragraph heavy where you have this linear thing going on. A lot of it is, I go into hex X, I roll some events for hex X, I go to the paragraph, and now I have to make some decisions about what I've seen in there, and I rolled and it branched to here, and then this happens, and so on. So it's a little less where it's driving you along a line, and again, it's very much closer to Book of Quests. But I thought that might be an intriguing exercise as to, can you make a game which effectively uses these mechanics, but then drives that kind of thing, if that makes any sense. Um, I don't know if I will ever do that, but I was vaguely intrigued by the concept of, so for instance, let's say, okay, let's picture a game where you start at the edge and you walk in the board. And much like, in the solo game, you don't know where the dwellings are. So let's say, oh, I run into the dwelling and I'm at the inn now. Well, okay, you've turned the inn over. So now you know where the inn is. Let's roll on a table to see what is going on at the inn when you arrive, right? In terms of the rogues aren't there, it's abandoned, or the rogues are there and the patrol is looking for you because that's the nature of the game. The nature of the game would be, the idea would be, oh, you're exiled prince, you coming in, you need to hire 10, you need to become friendly with enough to hire 10 hirelings, and if you have 10 hirelings, then you can form your army and go back and take your crap. I think it'd be an interesting exercise. I don't know if it's possible or how much work it would be, but I have been thinking about it as an exercise. So, anyway. Oh, I think it's a beautiful game. I mean, just getting back to Magic Realm, I think it's a beautiful game. I think it is by far it I think now I haven't played I've played a lot of board games, but I'm certainly not as I am certainly not as versed in the vast swath of games that people are today, right? All these board gamers on YouTube, they have all these modern board games and and so on, and they have a lot of games, and I appreciate that. And I don't have quite the same view of a lot of those guys, but I always felt that Magic Realm might be the most weirdly perfect board game I've ever seen. Like I think it's not perfect capital P, it's perfect little p, in the sense that all the things it does so many of them so well. And it does have a few sort of places where it misses and flaws, but you can forgive those, and you can sort of tackle those, right? And so I think it is one of the most perfect games. I have never seen an epic adventure board game that does the things this game does in the way that it does them and generate the kind of interest and excitement that this game does. All the games that try to do the same thing, Runebound, Talisman, I don't count Gloomhaven and Descent. Those are dungeon crawlers, so a little different. What's a Mage Knight? Everybody's like, well, Mage Knight's way better than Magic Realm. It is so much simpler and it does all the same things. And I go, yeah, time out. You can fight in Mage Knight. You can hire dudes in Mage Knight. Absolutely the case. You can do all the same things you do. But Mage Knight plays like a card game. You have a hand of cards. You optimize your cards for the turn. Done. It plays like a game of bridge. This does not play like a game of bridge. This feels like I'm doing what I'm doing. Like if I am, it is very simulationist game, right? This was trying to simulate the thing. And games, a lot of games don't simulate. They go, well, I'm going to hand wave that or streamline that or game that. And this was up to a point. I mean, obviously they're streamlining a lot of things. But you are doing the things you're doing.
right? Sort of, and it feels different in a way that most games don't. Runebound. I don't think it's a bad game, but I never get it out again. Um, yeah, I find it weird because I don't. And again, I don't know. I don't presume anyone's age or anything like that. I don't know. I know that most folks. YouTube tells me that everyone that watches me are men of 45 to 65, and I'm like, well, that's obviously my tribe because that's that's where I'm at. Um, but I have sort of a different view. Like I don't actually, strangely enough, I don't feel it's cumbersome. I actually feel that it is weirdly elegant for all the things it does, right? Like you don't think it is, but I think it is, and like it just there's certain things where I go, yeah, it's a lot of dice rolling and a lot of bits, but yet it all sort of works together. And I think Mage Knight's a great game. I think it's very well put together, but it doesn't hit my table. By the way, if you like Mage Knight, you should look on the Steam game. You should look up Paladin's Oath, um, which is a computer version. It's basically a computer copy of Mage Knight. I don't know. It's not a computer version of Mage Knight in the sense that it's literally the Mage Knight board game, but it is the goddamn Mage Knight board game in computer version. So if you look up Paladin's Oath on Steam, and if you love Mage Knight, that is definitely a game that you might be interested in. Having said that, I like Mage Knight, but I never play Mage Knight. Oh, you already own Paladin's Oath done. I am behind you on that one. Um, I don't play it that often because I just don't feel it gives me the same experience. The experience doesn't actually feel like I'm having an adventure as much as it feels like I am optimizing a hand to do a thing on a board. So that's my problem with Mage Knight is it just has a totally different feel. I feel it's a well put together game, but as I bump my table here, um, but like I said, I think Runebound's a well put together game, but it doesn't. It's just somehow misses, right? And so Mage Knight for me misses a little bit. Having said that, I do play Paladin's Oath periodically because I do think Mage Knight is well put together for what it does. But yeah, I actually feel that Magic Realm is weirdly not. Now it comes from the 70s. It totally is what it is in that sense. I think one of the problems that it has was simply, you look at these counters and go, well, these are awesome, and the old counters sort of suck in the sense that there's not as quite enough information on them, and the and understanding it was published in the 70s, and chits like this aren't good for printing because of how they're put together. So these are great for computer and they're great for print and play, but they sort of suck to print on a press because of in a shop because they run to the edge, that kind of thing, right? So um yeah, so to me the primary difference between the two is that in MK you're leveling up to become more powerful, and MR is more about making do with what you have. You know, I yeah, I think, like I said, I believe I don't. I mean, I don't like Mage Knight as much as you do, right? And so you probably have a lot more, and you probably played it a lot more, so you have a little bit more into it than me. I just don't feel it gives me the same experience, leveling up or not. And I do love leveling up as a mechanic typically, um, but I just don't. I think part of it is the card mechanic. Um, simply doesn't. It makes me feel like I'm playing a card game. Done. I mean, that's sort of it. That's sort of how that's probably the main problem. Not that it is necessarily cards is the thing. I feel the same way with Gloomhaven, by the way, which I like as a game. I think it's a fine game, but ultimately it's a hand management game, right? Um, Magic the Gathering. It's a fine game, super game, right? Obviously, one of the best games ever constructed in terms of popularity and so on. But I feel it's a sort of a hand management game, right? Um, it just doesn't have that same doesn't jive quite as well for me. Also in Mage Knight, the characters really don't start that much different. They start with a tiny difference, stuff like that. There's a little bit of that going on too. But now what I will disagree is I find it so it's interesting in terms of the things that you do get in Magic Realm. I think the interesting part about that is you do not level up in Magic Realm typically. You can play games where you level up, but I don't actually feel that like those rules don't make a great deal of sense to me. I think the way the game rolls is about what you play. You play the you are fully developed, you have your stuff. I think the interesting part about Magic Realm is that it is tuned to the point whereas you go, well, you're going to gain some stuff, but it's minor in comparison. Yeah. Good night, East Paladin. Thanks for showing up and thanks for hanging out and chatting with me. I'll talk to you later. But Michael, the one thing you should be super interested that I find super interesting about Magic Realm is that one item can totally change your disposition. So I do feel that it's not just you gain a few more resources. It's well, hold on, now I have now my character has I don't know. Let's pick one, the handy gloves, and now I have this weird M3 chit which I didn't have before. So like if I take a character, let's say for instance, like the captain. So you look at the captain, and you look at the captain, and what's interesting about the captain is, captain's a pretty good fighter. He can generate medium star damage, right? Because this short sword's crap. But medium star damage, and he can do it at a time 3. So he can kill a lot of either heavy creatures that are unarmored or medium and armored creatures with this time 3 chit, which costs him 2 asterisks. So it makes it very hard for him to play. Now let's say the captain all of a sudden gets the handy gloves. Well, now he gets this chit. Now he's a totally different character. Now he can't do any more damage with the short sword, but now he can do it at time 3. But now what if he decided to go and buy an axe? Okay, well, what if he buys an axe? Whoops, he's not there. Well, and now he's still doing medium star, so that's not even a good quite where I want to go. But yeah, but right. So now, now he has a totally different disposition. It's so interesting that how this plays in with how these weapons play in with these chits. So I do think you don't level up, but getting even one item can start to change what you can go for, if that makes any sense. And so I think that's the kicker that I like about the game so much. Like, what's another good one for him? Is there a heavy gloves thing? Power boots, power gauntlets. There you go. That would be the one where he would all of a sudden the captain would sort of change his disposition, right? Because now the captain can take something like an axe. And on this side, oops, and I keep going back to the pally here. Who's dead? Womp womp. Right? Now he can go here and on H, he can do H star 4 at a time 4, whereas normally the best he could do is a time 5 or a time 6. And so again, I think they totally changed the disposition of the characters. So, you know, I think it's interesting. It's way more not incremental. You're leveling up. How's that in Magic Realm? It's way more quantum leaps of, oh, hold the hell on. I got this thing and now I can carry tremendous crap. Oh, well, let me go to this place I couldn't go before and pick up this treasure I couldn't pick up before. And now I'm way more different. Those are things about characters like the Amazon and the captain. Their starting weapon actually sucks, but if you can change that starting weapon out, there are certain combinations which then make them very powerful. The pilgrim. Pilgrims, you don't think the pilgrim's a great fighter, but then you look and you go, well, the pilgrim, you know, but with certain spells and certain whatever, right? He just becomes a different guy. That's all. So, but yeah, the pilgrim has this fight M2, and I've now messed up the board here. Pilgrim has a fight M2. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. You're right in the sense that there's this, more grandiose leveling up sort of thing in actually a lot of adventure games, right? And Mage Knight definitely has it. Whereas this is sort of weirdly subtle and not even obvious some of the times either. It is possibly not obvious. That you have X and you got this new thing, and now all of a sudden, whereas before you were avoiding these types of monsters, now you should go fight them. So, but it's neat. I think the game sort of fits on this weird curve where you just shift a little bit, and that's where you know, um, that's where you get one hireling, and maybe your whole game changes. You get um you get one item and your game changes. You get one, whatever, right? And so that's the other thing I try to do with the quest cards is allow for at least some more of that variation to come to play by allowing you to gain different things as you complete some of these. Not all of them, but some. So, but yes, this is my go-to. Like there's no other quest game that I've seen that I will play over Magic Realm at this point, even though I played a lot of Magic Realm. None of them deliver quite as much as I needed to. And I keep trying to find them, right? I have Return of the Heroes, I have Runebound, I have what the hell else have I gotten in the past? I keep saying Talisman. Yes, I have Talisman. I have Paladin's Oath for Mage Knight. I just haven't quite found this same experience here that I have here. And it's like I said, it's also weirdly expandable. I think you can do a lot of expanding with it. So anyway, there you go. You've heard my ramblings. After that lame, dismal game section, you've at least heard my ramblings on Magic Realm. So I appreciate you chatting with me about it. But I'm glad you found the game. I'm glad that you are sort of getting into it. I think it is a very interesting, it's a very interesting journey, and it's certainly worth the time putting some time into it. It is absolutely a game which gives a heck of a lot after you put in, a few games. You're like, oh, wait a minute, like, there are folks I know that have played the game for a very long time who still quite don't get some of the subtleties, right? Oh, wait, you mean I see. That's why I have an M3, 1 star. That's why I have an M2 2-star chit. That allows me to do these things that this other character can't do, right? And there's just a lot of that. Well, that's cool. I'm glad with that. I'm sort of glad that the fact that they are not playing the standard game, I make probably quite a few mistakes. I make a ton of mistakes as I play typically. Um, and I'm not really, they're not tutorial vids. I'm sort of glad that they've helped you somewhat, because that makes me feel good, because I do love the game. I like bringing the game to folks. Um, and so I'm sort of gratified that you find the videos, and there's not a ton of videos with plays. There's a few online. There's you know, but not a ton of them. And and so, and as I said, you know what? I'll play these. I'll put them on YouTube. If anybody watches them, great. If no one watches them, you know, I don't. I'm not going to get famous playing Magic Realms, or will I? So, but yeah, no, I've enjoyed these though. I've enjoyed making the videos quite a bit. Um, I mean, I love the game. I get a different game every time. Every time I play the White Knight, even I get a different game. Every time I play, um, between two characters for sure, but even the same character, even tweaking the spells. You play the magician and take spell X, Y, and Z, and you get a different game than if you took spells A, B, and C. You know. Oh, and the redesign is beautiful. Now, the only problem I have with the redesign is I do agree with East Paladin that I think some of these, like some of the hidden, some of the things blend in a little bit more, right? A tiny bit. Um, yeah. Well, that's one of the things that just does come from 1979, right? Um, like I said, people have indicated that these chits would be very hard to print even today at a shop, because they run right to the edge. This is great for a print and play where you can snip, but there's a lot of bleed otherwise. And in 1979, man, you know, they had to. This game was already a monster in the box, so they had to cut costs everywhere they possibly could cut costs. And you know what I mean? Like everywhere they could cut costs, so that game didn't cost $80 in 1979 or whatever, however much it cost in 1979. This game was a disaster to get published in the first place. I believe I've read the story, sort of a horror story of this thing getting completed and out the door and then published. Um, but I mean, having said that, I agree with you. These chits are way better. The fact that you can see the weapon lengths on the chit and don't have to go look it up every time, is perfect, right? 100%. The fact you can see everybody's vulnerability on here, and if they're armored, is just a ring around them. Perfect. These chits are great. It is a great redesign, by the way. If I had the patience, a print and play of this would be the perfect thing to have, because I would put that on the table all day. I don't know, I don't know. I don't know enough about printing. But I did read a thread once, and someone said, "Yeah, I don't know that we'd still be able to print those, right?" Um, so that's all. That's I don't know. I have often thought that like a game crafters thing, and you send, like, I would love to get cards made for the spells at home like this, because I made these just to play, on here, right? Um, because I found, first off, there's a weird bug with these sheets that if you go in here and then save the game and come back, all these words will be all scattered, like they'll be all down here, and you'll have to just erase them and I'll do it again. So Now, mind you, I make these gigantic, so this is lame. But and you run into the problem where you can't really drop something. You should never drop anything in a text field area on tabletop sim because you will never be able to pick it up again. So guess what? I don't care. The game's over. Um, but yeah, I made these for specifically just to to play here so that people could see the spells that I had and see them big and bold and so on. I would love to get spell cards made with all the extra spells. I would love to get spell item cards made because I would actually then add items to the game because I think that's another place where you can get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of customizing the game. I was thinking that now my problem is I am not good enough at tabletop sim to go. Yeah, yeah, right. I don't quite know enough about tabletop sim to be able to take this mod and then make a mod with, say, extra tile. Because I think I would consider doing it, right? Or extra spell cards because I would add cards or or whatever. I'd put the cards in here as opposed to that kind of thing. So so I had to either figure that out or not. I don't know if you can do an existing mod and then mod it. I'm not sure that that's even possible. I'd have to figure that out. Like, can I change this deck? Um, I don't know. Because yeah, I would love to add the spell cards in here. I would love to add items. Not that I think there's anything wrong with the original items. And again, I think everything is honed very well. So I would probably only throw the balance off by adding items, but I would still do that. I would totally do it. Um, and make a game where you add a bunch of those. So I had to think about that and figure that out. Maybe there is a way to do that. So yeah, no, I mean I don't know. That fight bums me out still. I'm still thinking about it, by the way. I'm still thinking about it. Do you realize that? Like that's the worst. I cannot. I'm like, God damn it. uh, why did I do what I did? I thought I had one, and like I said, if it maybe two different rolls or one different roll, and I think it went fine. It went smashingly. All right. Let's see. What do we got? So, any questions? Anything going on? You anything to chat about that you want to chat about? I think otherwise I will call it. But but yeah, like if you have any other questions or what, I'm happy to sit and talk for a little bit longer if you like. What it I think what this game um I think what this game taught me was, and not, is, man, it's still a risk management game. You still need to, there are times when you should just go, yeah, that's not a good fight. I should hold the hell up and not do that, right? What I should have done, frankly, to be quite honest, what I should have done, seeing that turn to crap like that, is I should have backed off to the altar, looted the altar, tried to come back, make just enough money to get this guy, and then this guy comes in and he can help me with that fight. So that's probably the better option than what I did. Or go to the pool. Now the pool's dicey for its own reason. But I should have gone to the altar, looted it, tried to come back higher, and then I could have taken that out. And that is the prudent course of action. And instead I did I totally jackass this. and I got punched in the face for doing so. So all right. Michael, thank you very much for hanging out. I do appreciate it. I appreciate the chat. Um, it was fun. I'm gonna have that goose egg on my scoreboard now forever. So I'm gonna wear that shame, but oh well, too bad. Um, but it was at least interesting. So I will talk to you later, man. Thanks a lot. And I'm gonna call it for the night. And we will be doing one of these again probably in the next couple days. I'm going to get a setup here and then either make the video or run a stream. I'll probably try to run the stream because this one sort of flamed out. So I will talk to you. I'll probably see you before maybe sometime before the end of the week. All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. Appreciate it.